All right, K-Dog, what do you got for me today?
Oh, not a whole lot. Just a question. Just a simple question. And I realize I'm sounding more and more like the old woman that gets older and says, well, back in my day. But growing up in Northeast Ohio, do you recall having snow days for temperature and just pure temperature, not icy roads or things of that nature?
Well, you know what? Honestly, over time, liabilities just have gotten so high that if anything bad happens, rather than people like take responsibility for it, they try to blame somebody else. And so they'll hold school districts and townships and bus drivers and principals and whatever financially liable. And so like when you look at the balance sheet, can you afford what that means? And can you say like, I tried all I could to stop someone from getting hurt? So yeah, we're just pussies is what it comes down to. But in all respects, not just with schools and administrators, people in general are just so freaking soft that if a little friction happens to them, they just throw up their hands and they just can't survive it. In our primitive versions, like we could fight bears and freaking win. And now we are conquered by the smallest, most menial things possible.
Okay, so it's not just me that is noticing
but
that.
But you're a pussy too. Like everybody is.
Yes.
Everybody is. Okay? So this just happens like when you observe something, you're like, I don't remember being this way. You're absolutely right. We're just a pussification of our entire society and culture. And yeah, I've been rolling my eyes for 15 years about how soft we've become. And if we really got challenged, if nature really stood up to us, we would freaking buckle. But I know that I wouldn't die. Everybody else would, and be reduced competition for everything that I value.
You wouldn't die.
I would not die.
Because you're a badass?
I'm primitive. Like, I'm very, very primitive. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, as a prepper, I contemplate bad things and go through the rehearsal of what I would do. And I prepare myself accordingly. So a lot of stuff I prepared for will probably never happen. But it doesn't mean that if I'm in a grocery store and a predator came in that I wouldn't have already know what the hell I'm going to do.
Yeah?
Or if you're in a car and someone tries to carjack you, like, I know what to do. If there's a fire in your house, you know what you would do. Like, pretty much the rehearsal for everything that has a possibility.
Are you one of those guys that goes out to eat and in the restaurant you have to sit facing the door?
Yeah.
You do that?
But that's a CIA thing. All right, so two things I do when I go into a public place. I put myself... Okay, so really it depends on the logistics, but I put myself between danger and the people that I care about, so I will take it.
Chivalrous.
But I also will need to keep an eye on everything that's going on. So we used to do this practice when I'm driving, right?
Uh-huh.
So I drive a little while, and the goal, really good drivers, what you'll do is you'll look for a car, a color, a make, a model, and try to remember where it is in relation. When you look up relation to you, and then when you look up in your mirror, you try to find the things that you know that are around you. And that way, when you're changing lanes, you know who's missing, right? So let's just say something dives in your blind spot, and blue car that was within viewing distance is no longer there. Now you can pay extra attention because blue car's missing. But if you had yellow, red, blue car in your sights, and you look and there's blue, red, yellow car, very low chance that when you get over, there's going to be something in
Unless
your
it's
blind
like,
spot.
oh, deer.
Yeah.
Deer wasn't accounted for.
So there was a movie about, I think it was CIA, and they walked a prospective CIA agent into a restaurant, and they started asking them questions about if they took for an accounting of who was in there and what they were wearing and what they were doing. Because you're, as an observant person, you're supposed to be looking for people who pose a threat and keep an eye on those people. So if a guy walks in with a trench coat on and has his, face covered or whatever, you're watching. Not necessarily a person's going to detonate a bomb, but that's a person of interest.
Odd, yes.
Yeah. So in public places, you can absolutely practice, dangerous
people. My husband, I noticed, we were hanging out one time. We were sitting at a bar somewhere, and there's a bunch of people around us, and this guy went to get up and leave, and somehow started chatting, and my husband's like, oh, I like your Sasquatch. Have you ever seen Bigfoot? And I said, what are you talking about? And the guy's like, oh, and in his hand are keys, and on the keychain is a Sasquatch keychain. And I said, how the heck did you even see that? And he's like, I'm trained in, he was military, and
Yeah.
he's like, I just
Well,
noticed things.
most people are trained in obliviousness. Okay, so
Yeah.
when they find themselves in peril, they're just as shocked as everybody else. The people who do the mental rehearsals and pay attention to things are not in obliviousness. And even if we don't have perfect information, we're way more informed than most. So really, when it comes down to it, in a crisis situation, you don't necessarily have to survive the crisis. You have to survive the people in the crisis. So being smarter, faster, better is an advantage if you want to live.
So when do you go from someone who's just very prepared to paranoia?
I'd say it's paranoia when you start inventing creatives that don't exist. Taking realities and taking account for realities is just good judgment. But when you start doctoring and creating your own realities and then treating them like they're real, that's when it gets into paranoia. There's a temptation to do that. And if you're a creative type that worries about things and whatever, then and that's why part of my practice is that if you see something of danger and you use it as an action to prepare, then you're doing the right thing. If you look at something that's dramatic and you do nothing about it, it's just gossip. And the oblivious people practice gossip where, if I was like, hey, there's a guy out there and I'm going to go do something because of it and become stronger, faster, better to prepare myself, even if it doesn't happen, versus, someone who's like, look at that guy out there. He could be a bomber. And you're just taking pictures and looking at it, but getting no further prepared. Then you're training your brain to pay attention and disconnecting from what you can do about something. So I think those two things go in hand. Paranoia and gossip are friends, and low probability events and preparation are on the other hand.
I always wondered if I was the type of person that, if truly faced with a sudden threat, would I act or would I freeze? Do you think maybe being prepared and sort of maybe running those things in your head on a regular basis sways you more towards the acting than freezing?
You basically are training your subconscious to, when reason doesn't have a chance to, weigh things out and measure them, that's what you're going to go to. And I'm telling you, the most powerful is motherly instinct. So if it's any bit way connected with preserving the family unit, like, let's just say someone draws a gun on your kid. What's your first action going to be? Is thinking about what you should do, or are you just throwing your body in front of the bullet, right? And I will guarantee you that women will 100% of the time do whatever it takes. They will attack with fierceness because that is how they're biologically programmed. You don't have to really rehearse those things, but you can parlay your natural instincts with things that are practiced and know that that's what your instincts are going to be.
Yeah, I remember a time, not that we were in real danger. I don't believe we were, but I think I was at Target or something with my kids. My kids were babies, and I'm taking them to the car, and I'm trying to put the car seats in and everything. And this real shady, it may have been a woman, I don't remember, a person came up to me, looked like they were homeless. They were begging in the parking lot. And the moment I see them walking up, like, if I were an animal, I would have started growling. Like, I had that sense about me that I was that's you better stop right now.
I love the primitive. And honestly, those are the only real sure parts of people's personality that you can bank on. If you get to know someone who's just got, soy running through their blood, you know that if shit goes down, you want to be nowhere near them because they're going to buckle and fold like a woman. Like they really will.
Excuse me? No, kidding.
So, but if it's a primitive instinct where your job is to take care of your offspring, like that is how you're wired. When it comes down to it and there's a threat, I'm going to be behind you, not me being in front of you, because you're going to be more fierce than I'm able to be.
I immediately was in this, like, you need to back up right now kind of mode. But I think it even helps you sort of recognize things that keep you safe. Another example, I don't think I had kids at the time. This might have been before I had kids. I was getting home one day. I was pulling into my driveway in my neighborhood, and this person out of nowhere walks right up my driveway to me in my car and has a spray bottle with no label on it. and is trying to tell me that this is cleaner. And they're going door to door and they're selling cleaner. And can I do the windows of your car? And I'm like, look, I'm not real interested. And they're trying to hand me this like laminated card that has some sort of cleanser information on it. And I'm just like, yeah, no thanks, I'm good. Well, I happen to have my dog in the car, who at the time, this was the most docile golden retriever that would never hurt anyone. Even if I were being murdered, I think the dog would just watch. But I started to hold her as though she were vicious. And I started to sort of put myself in front of her, acting like I'm saving this person. I was like, you know what? We're good. I would really not right now. And I'm like holding her back as though she's going to lunge, even though she never would. But the person like wanted the card back, like they only had one. Like I said, no labels on the bottle, and walked off with no vehicle around. And I'm like, everything about this is shady. I don't feel safe. And sure enough, it was in the news that there were people going door to door, casing houses, acting like they were cleanser salespeople and had
you were
a
doing
fake
the CIA
bottle
thing. You were doing risk assessment, taking information that you had, and coming to a conclusion whether or not the cost of what you were, the conversation that you were having was worth it.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, most people take risks that there are no benefit from, and all kind of downside. Because we talk about the secularization of society. At least you knew that your neighbor bought into a set of rules that kind of like managed how they behave. Now that that's out the window, it's all primitive instinct. So people are trying to get ahead, and even if it's at your expense, they will take you out. I dealt in the internet world, so I dealt with a lot of people from other countries, and those countries are completely opportunist. Okay. They don't play by an honesty rule book. Like, your grandma would leave your doors open because they trusted all the neighbors, because the neighbors knew that they didn't want other people breaking into their houses.
Yeah.
So they trusted who they were around. But when you start integrating people that don't play from the same rule book in your freaking neighborhood, what they're willing to go through to take shit that they're conniving, they're evil. Like, even if they, you have probably more con people in your life than you do God-fearing, adhere to the Bible, have principles, and will do the right thing even if it hurts them. You just have a bunch of people who are self-interested, and if they have to step on your face to get where they want, they're going to freaking do it. And if I need money and I need to give you a card to be able to get it so I can steal your freaking TV, I don't give two shits. I mean, you've heard our scam calls. Those people don't care about taking $60,000 of some lady that all the money she had. They don't give two shits about what her life's going to be like in the coming months. Don't care at all.
And so how do you feel about this then? I was just talking about this the other day. It drives me nuts in movies and TV when the character who is about to either be attacked or scammed or robbed or hurt or whatever. Let's say this character comes across an evil plan by the bad guy, and while alone with this bad guy, calls them out on it. I know what you're doing. I know you're trying to steal the blah, blah, blah. I know you're here, and I'm going to tell everybody. And all I yell is, you are alone? Why would you do that? Would you call somebody out, or would you be like, kind of like me, I didn't call this person out. I didn't say, I think you're scamming me. I think you are shady. I think whatever. No. I just, no thanks. Acted like I had a vicious dog, set things up to make it look like I was listening to them, but I'm actually getting away, because I feel like it's so stupid if you are by yourself with this threat that you call them out on it. And now, of course, what? They're going to attack you because no one's around. Would you do that, or would you say, I better play this kind of smart so I can get away?
I'm the wrong guy to ask, because I take great pleasure in the confrontation part. But if you don't respond well or are prepared for any kind of confrontation, you don't do that. But movies broke us in a way, right? Movies used to be the hero went to great lengths to always stick to the principle, do the right thing, even if it cost them their freaking lives. I think what's that one movie that had Ned Stark died in like the second episode.
A show or a movie?
Yeah, the HBO show. But anyway, he adhered to the rule and the law, and with honor and dignity, that he was taken out by the villainous, king. But anyway, and we learned so much from movies, TV, and radio, and we almost like get more of our education from how our actors act rather than how we're taught by, our clergy or teachers or family.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I could perfectly see, like, when the hero walks in and the villain is there and you could shoot him in the head and then all of the drama is over. But dramatic effect means that you got to engage in some conversation before. Me, I would walk in the door, boom, gone. I don't have to have dialogue with you. I'm not going to pull new information from you. I'm not going to there's nothing to gain by, like taking my time and killing you. Like, you're dead. And you walk in my house and you think you're a threat that's going to, rob me or kill me or whatever. You're dead in 1.2 seconds. As long as it takes me to load around in the chamber, right? You're dead. And so, yeah, like I think most people, though, that learn from television will behave like the people in television, which is massive stupidity.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised.
Yeah, I was just watching The Sopranos. You ever watch The Sopranos?
I have.
So I didn't watch it when it was on, but we're sort of rewatching it now. And yeah, Paulie just broke into this little old lady's house, friend of his mother's, to rob her. Well, she comes in the bedroom where he is because he did not know she was home. And he's like, oh, hey, oh, yeah, I was looking for you. Let's just chat. I want to talk to you about my mom. Let's have some coffee. And alone, with no one around, she says, I know what you're here to rob me. You're looking for my money and I'm calling the police. So, of course, he grabs her, he strangles her, he smothers her. I would have been like, yeah, let's chat. Why don't you come down? I'm going to start some coffee and then get the heck out of there.
See, TV
so dumb.
has broken us because we emulate what we see in media. For sure, 100%. And it was Game of Thrones, by the way. That was the movie.
I have not seen that one yet.
Yeah, it's worthwhile. And I like, literature and movies and songs. I like things that, like kind of push and pull me. There's some conflict. The Prince is one of my favorite books. The Art of War is one of my favorite books. Like these sort of like lost souls a little bit. They push and pull you because they're contemplating things that are right on the outside of the realm of what you think you could do personally and how possible. And, like if you detach yourself from humanity and you're just looking at society as a whole and you're, observing it as in the realities of whatever, like you're taking human nature, you're taking empathy out of it. And you're like, think of how this person processed all of their observations of this world with such callousness, but they were also really effective, right? And so, like, you watch this conflict between what you think it should be and what it actually is, and you're like, which side am I on? Do I like the villain or do I like the hero? Like, I want to like the hero, but the villain is appealing in certain ways, and it gets you a little bit.
Have you ever seen the movie Primal Fear?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my favorites. One of my favorites. I was going to tell you to watch it, but if you watched it, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but watch Primal Fear. It's such a good one. Have you ever seen Boondock Saints?
I have.
Okay, so we have a tradition in our family. Every St. Patrick's Day, we watch Boondock Saints. Are you all for the vigilante mindset, or are you like, you're still breaking the law too, you're no better than the criminals?
I'm going to ask you a question first. Let's pause this.
Okay.
I had just had a major discussion intra-family.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And so what we did, and this is sort of like a real plan. Like, let's just say that we did have catastrophic civilization failure and, now it's protecting yourself and gathering resources and whatever. So what we did was we went to if you are going to have to kill someone, like to survive, you're going to have to kill someone and take their shit because there's
Hunger
so much
Games.
shit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what we did was we went there's a website that posts where people live who have abused children, and they plot them on the map.
Yeah.
And so what we did is we took an index of people who we wouldn't mind killing, no one would be missed, and we're going to take their shit first. So if catastrophic failures, we're going to go to the child abusers, and we're going to freaking kill them, and we're going to take their shit. They're first on the list. I don't really want to give our strategy away, but I doubt that in our neighborhood we're going to have much competition for it, but they're dead, and I'm not going to feel bad about it at all, like zero. So we went through the talks, like where some people make on the list and they're really not abusers. They just happen to, somebody who dated a 17-year-old and somehow got put on this list. And I was like, well, we'll go through the list and we'll find out the real abusers from the ones who are fringe gray. Maybe I won't kill them. Maybe I'll go there, threaten their life, take their shit. But all the real abusers, right, they're freaking dead meat. So that's sort of like how you express the vigilante desire, that people who have sort of escaped what you really think they deserve in a moment where you can justify it. So if we had a purge, right, one day it's legal to just go take out somebody you think deserved it, would you be behind a wall protecting yourself, not participating, or would you be strapping up ready to go take out the person that you think deserves?
Me personally?
You personally.
I'd probably be behind a wall.
Behind a wall.
Yeah.
Okay. I would be on the streets with my list, right? Live with my armaments, with my band of fellow, vigilantes.
Yeah.
And I would be making shit go down.
How do you know you can trust your fellow vigilantes?
That would have to be, you would have to procure that way in advance, because you have to make sure they were capable as an army and also trustworthy as
like
as
they're
a
not
loyalist.
wanting to purge you, but to get to you, they got to act like your friend.
Well, I'm not going to be sitting behind a wall only to die anyhow, right? I'm at least going to be fighting through it and be the dominant one.
Yeah, see, I would be behind the wall, one, because I'm not sure if I could trust my skills. Like, I don't know if I could survive it or if I'd get killed. And two, I honestly don't know if I could purposely take someone's life. I don't know if I could do it, no matter who they were.
Well, let's talk through it.
Unless it was self-defense.
So, child molester, could you take their life easily?
You're talking about setting out to do it, not in self-defense, just do it.
Yeah, okay, so the purge horn blows. You're on one corner. The person on the other is the creepy child molester guy that has his phone open with child pornography, and you've got a gun. You have the free pass right now to end everything that he could do in the future right now. Could you end creepy dude's life?
If it were him or me.
He's got a gun too.
If it's him or me, yes.
You can take him out and not feel bad that you extinguished a life.
I might feel a little bad.
Really?
But I mean, I don't know.
What's redeeming? Like, I didn't mention anything that he could have a positive contribution anytime in the future except for hurting more people. That would be a pity
I would
kill.
want to stop it. I also sort of see sometimes, not necessarily in this case, sometimes I almost see the death as too easy on them. Like, you got off easy. You should have suffered longer.
See, in the movie, you'd be given the dialogue and giving them a tongue lashing, and then you'd be killed, giving them enough time for their, the guy with the brimmed hat to come in and take you out because you wanted to talk.
If it's life or death situation, him or me, and I've got to kill them, yes, I would not feel as
you
bad.
make first move. You're like, I know the rules are that this could come down to me and him, but I'm going to make first strike because he's a scum, right? I have a free pass where there's no repercussions, and I'm going to rid the world of a negative mark on life's ledger.
I don't know. Maybe if I was personally affected by, maybe I knew a victim or something, the chances increase, I would say.
All right, but you're iffy. You're 50-50 on that.
Yeah.
What about like Dexter? Dexter's a serial killer, and he uses his whatever fault in the Dark Passenger and to take out other serial killers and the people who escape hurting other people, right?
Yeah.
People are escaping legal ramifications. Now, is Dexter the hero or is he the villain?
Kind of like Boondock Saints.
That's how we got into this whole vein.
Yeah. I mean, like, is it, if I hear that somebody else took a scumbag out, I'm not sad about it. Probably needed to happen. We're all safer from it. But could I do it? I don't know. Life or death? Yes. Me or this person? Yes. But just do it. Just to make the world a better place and to say they deserved it. They should die and I'm going to send them there. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. Maybe. Maybe.
You're not. If you're on the fence when it comes down to it, you're not going to do it. Like if you were to put money on this table right now in these positions, I'm betting 100% that
I would go get you. And say, do it.
So I'm your henchman now.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes. Maybe I couldn't pull the trigger, but I could sure go get someone that can.
Yeah. So, all right. So here's another situation. You see Saving Private Ryan? Do you remember that movie?
Long time ago.
Okay. My favorite scene in that movie is the slow stab. Okay. So you have these,
I don't remember that.
you have these two characters. One's holed up in a building. The other one comes in. Young kid, right? Killed a bunch of people in war. The other one's just another soldier on the other side in war. He walks in his place, sees this guy. This guy starts like crying, I'm sorry, don't kill me, whatever. And this opposing guy, like you go from two people acting as soldiers to one of them drops down as like a human being begging for their life. And the soldier comes in and takes his knife and he doesn't like just stab him. He slowly puts it into his heart and he's saying, shh.
Oh, God, that does ring a bell.
Right?
Oh,
and so
that rings
what's
a bell.
meaningful in that, right, is putting yourself in the position of the soldier who was not he was not cowering. He was playing his soldier role. Like you shoot somebody and they're shooting back at you, it almost feels like a fair fight. But the one person who white flags it and says, I know I'm about to die and I don't really want to, watching the soldier say, I don't give two shits about it. I am a soldier and I'm here to kill you and you can't beg enough in order for me not to stab you. And not only am I going to make it a quick death, I'm going to make it a really slow, feel every moment. And the audience that's watching that felt the slow stab and put themselves both in the villain's perspective and also in the guy that was being slow stabbed.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get to know yourself, willing to know like you're in that position and you're at a disadvantage, and you know you're about to die, and nothing you can do to stop it, and the dude's going to make it painful and make you just experience every second of that death.
Twisted. That's twisted. I mean, because 100% I understand, like, especially with military and fighting and things of that nature. I mean, of course I couldn't fault the soldier that is like, I came here to kill you. This is my mission. This is what I have to do. I get that. But to purposely make it brutal, ooh.
All right, let me change it. Ooh. You come home and there's someone broke into your house and is beating on one of your kids. They're bloody and bruised and crying. You come in, you grab your gun, you go up to them, they fall backwards and say, I'm so sorry, I didn't have any money, I have a family, I go to church would it be fast where you just put them out of their misery? Or would you want that person to freaking suffer with what they just did to your kid?
Yeah, that might be different.
How is that different?
It's my kids. Do you ever watch Sons of Anarchy? Mm-hmm. So I've watched that show where I find myself like hating a character so much that, I want them to suffer.
Yeah.
Like, don't make it quick. Make it awful. And again, it's not like I don't want it to happen, but do I want to do it? I don't know.
Well, the con artists, when it means death, they're going to do say all kind of things to get to not die. Yeah. They deserve to die when I walked in and they were hitting my kid, right? That transaction complete. Like everything you say on the other end of that doesn't matter. Give me $1 million, say that you're sorry, say that you got kids at home. No explanation is going to get you out of what you just purchased there. And that is I would make it quick because I just don't want to waste time. And I got the cleanup effort afterwards to contend with. So
the cleanup effort.
But because I'm not totally depraved and I don't want you to suffer. I just want you to be ended and do it as efficiently as I possibly can. I might put down some painter's cloth or something like that to save myself some scrubbing, but that's it. That's all I would do.
So do you buy into the idea of temporary insanity? If somebody who would never typically murder anyone comes across somebody that just did something so horrific to them that they are now in that headspace of you're done and I'm ending you, but it normally is a very God-fearing, nice person. What would you do to that person if you were a jury? And someone's like, well, this guy broke in and he threatened his family. He didn't actually hurt his family, but he tied him up. He threatened them, maybe beat him up a bit. They're covered in bruises. They're scared. They're crying. He thought maybe their life was in danger, but he wasn't sure. But as the guy was leaving his house, you shot and you killed him. Are you for that guy or
no such thing as temporary insanity, right? It's just a calling that when you get put in a certain situation, every human being on the planet will react temporarily insane when they go to that primitive level, right? So there's no such thing. You were just a human, right? Did a human do what a human does when they're put in a position? Yes. Whether or not there is justice on the other side of that, it's a measurable thing. Do you want justice to be completely blind, or do you want it to have circumstances in which you can commit crimes and not have the repercussions? Because I think people also have a higher brain to be able to control your reactions. So like if I got all worked up and watched a bunch of pornography and went and had sex with someone against their will, right? Do you want me to claim temporary erotic behavior? No, it's your responsibility as a human being. You're carrying this package around. You're responsible for all your fingers and toes and all your digits and all your little appendages, right? And if you can't control them, then, wall yourself off. But the practice of controlling yourself has to be pretty high. No such thing as,
So would you say
insanity.
then ending someone would be worth maybe prison time, depending on what they did? You'd be like, I will go to prison for the rest of my life,
sure.
but I'm ending this person.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though you know that what they did to you temporarily will now take you from your family forever.
It's the role that you play and what you're willing to do. And 90% of the time, you're never going to have to, have that thing revealed to you. But it's how you behave in all other circumstances that fend off and keep you safer. So, for instance, if you are willing to nuke a country, right? You're willing, and you know that it's going to have really big consequences. If you're really willing to do that thing, it has to be sincere. And then 90% of the time, just the willingness to be able to do that thing will keep you safe in 99% of the circumstances. The threat of knowing I'm totally willing to end you, right, keeps you safer. And so you got to be willing. Like there's a bunch of people that say, yeah, man, if somebody came in, I would totally shoot them, right? And it's all words. They would never. So that doesn't make people, make people self-reflect and not do the thing because they think you're serious. But let's just say statistically, 100 break-ins and 100 people got, blotted on the wall, right? Guess what happens? The next person that does it has to think that everybody's really serious about blowing me away if I do this. Is it really worth the effort? But if nobody does it and everybody's just like, oh no, save me, Superman, right? Then you're just encouraging that kind of behavior. So and that's like the secular primitive society. There has to be the people willing to die with honor and dignity for their principles, and they survive. Right? And everybody who's those soy boy, fakers out there, they all die. And all you got to do is outlive the soy boys. That's it.
So if you were in the purge, a real life purge.
Yes.
And nobody truly, really personally hurt you, but you just know they're bad people, would you go out and actively seek them out based off principle? Probably
not. Yeah, it wouldn't. To me, it would not be a green light to just start inventing, some anger. It would have to really be something that I had some conviction about, and I'm just waiting for the green pass. Green light. Give me the free pass, and I'll take advantage of it. The only thing that was stopping me from doing it was the repercussions. You take the repercussions away, well, it just goes to the front of the line and says, okay, it's time to do this thing now. And I will tell you, I do not have anybody on the kill list as of now. So if the purge happened tomorrow, I would be behind the wall, just sipping some adult beverage, waiting for it to be over. Let the people who are the opportunists, who are out there just to get it out of their system, they played way too much Fortnite and they're looking to take some headshots, and let them have fun that night.
Do you think you would be on anyone's list if the purge were to happen?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think I would be, but I mean, I guess you never know.
Yeah, I think there's some people if I were in the same room and they had to pick somebody that's your most unfavorite, I might be on that list.
No.
But I do not think someone sitting on their couch right now just like, give me the moment, right? I don't think that's the case.
Oh, God, now I feel paranoid.
What was the movie? It was Adam Sandler movie where the dude was putting on lipstick and he had the list. Do you remember? And he called him up.
Was it Billy Madison?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm glad I called that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little list, the Chekhov list. I had one of my best friends when we were in school. I didn't know him that well at the time. We became friends maybe closer to like late teens, early adulthood. He had a reputation in school of being nutty, a little psychotic, and everybody said he had a death list. And everybody sort of teased him and said he was this whack job that, might hurt kids one day, and had this whole reputation of just being this potentially psychotic weirdo. Well, I got to know him. We worked together when we were, like I said, late teens, maybe early 20s. We became very close, and we were friends. And I was like, what was the deal in school? Like, why were you such a weirdo? Did you threaten people? And he's like, no. He said, I was being bullied. I went to the school counselor, and he's like, for guidance. The guidance counselor said, I want you to write the name of everybody bullying you on a piece of paper and show it to me. So we did. That list was found, and a rumor started that it's his death list. And he's like, I just let people go with it. He's like, I just went with it. And everybody thought he was crazy and insane and wanted to hurt people. And he's like, wouldn't hurt anyone, but hey, it was a fun rumor, and so I just didn't correct anyone. And I'm like,
it's pretty smart.
Yeah. And I think it probably worked. I think to an extent he was still bullied, but I bet you people thought twice before they messed with him. And I was like, yeah, that's a tactic.
Yeah.
I mean,
so do you carry any ill feelings from any treatment from school, high school, and whatever to anybody in the adult world? Do you let it die?
Oh, like somebody who wronged me in school?
Yeah. Do you carry it?
I don't think so. There was maybe one time there was a guy and he really upset me. And after we graduated high school, we were on like Instant Messenger one time. You remember AOL Instant Messenger? Yeah. That's how long ago this was. And just chit-chatting, and I remember saying, look, I realized this was years ago. I got to ask what the hell that was about. Like, why were you such a jerk? And just sort of talking about it closed it, but I also realized he was and still is an asshole. To this day, I see things he posts on social media and things he says, and I am just like, dodged a bullet there. That dude always has been and always will be an asshole. Wasn't personal. And so I was able to let it go. I wonder if I did not have that closure, if maybe I would hold a grudge. I don't know.
Do you, let's just say you see that person struggling, and do you kind of cheer a little bit that they're suffering a little bit?
Probably a little bit.
A little bit?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
There were girls that maybe I never had any personal beef with, but just saw how they treated other people and saw their beef with other people. And so if I see that they maybe not like didn't amount to much, but maybe went through something, I don't feel bad for them. Maybe like I would someone else. Yeah.
I'm not. I got 4 of those people. There are 4 traumatic events where there was a person involved, and I was, quiet. Well, part of me was like kind of reserved, kind of quiet, kind of close to the vest, and there were some people who tried to be make life miserable for someone like me. I was very poor growing up, and so like I was already at a disadvantage when it came to peers and whatnot. And one situation like this just happened recently, so this is cool. We're talking about it. So in high school, like again, I was very poor, and we went on a vacation, which never happened. I may be able to cite like 2 vacations in my entire childhood. But while I was on vacation, I bought a backpack from my parents, right? Didn't have a backpack. Everybody else had JanSport, like all the, fancy stuff. And I had nothing. Yeah. And I had nothing, but I got this backpack, and it was not anything special. It was a $20 thing you would buy at some tourist trap, and I was so freaking proud of that backpack because I finally had one, and I could finally kind of a little bit fit in that I wasn't carrying my shit around and whatever.
I feel like this story might make me cry.
Yeah,
go on.
and so like I'm sitting, I'm beaming because I don't have like much to be proud of, but today I'm beaming. I got my first backpack and I got my stuff, and the dude sitting behind me, he said, "You're going to give me that backpack." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to give you the backpack." And he bullied the shit out of me to get that backpack. And I stood my ground. He said, something to the effect, he threatened me with physical whatever. And I was just like, "Yeah, you probably do that, but I am not giving you my backpack." But I remember that moment and how vulnerable I felt, that not only was nobody coming to my defense, but this dude could have squashed me pretty good. And so I held that against him to this frickin' day. So when he struggles, like I cheer with fierceness that I hope he is never absolved from what torture and torment he put people through. And one of the somebody was saying something about him on social media a couple months ago. Class reunion, 30-year class reunion is coming up, and somebody was sort of like complimentary mentioning his name. And I cannot hold back, right?
Oh, God,
this dipshit who was all, peaked in high school and now is suffering a great deal. I had to take my shot, and so I did. And but there are 4 people on that list that to today took a piece out of me, and I will hold it against them forever. So you put me in a purge type of event, and they're history. Like
they're getting it.
They're not even second guessed. They're toast. And really, if maybe there was an apology or recognition, might buy him out of it, but that'll never happen. So the four people on that list, and one person who I was that to them. Like there was some meanness that came out of me, and 2 events that I never apologized for. And I'm sort of cheering that person on because I feel bad that I was meaner than I wasn't mean to the effect, to the same level that those were to me, but I wasn't nice. And so I still have regrets around that. So maybe I take it upon myself to get in contact with the person, the guy, and the kid's nickname was Meatball. Okay.
Was it a nickname he embraced, or it was a bully's nickname?
Tolerated. He did not fight against
kids with
it.
Nicknames that they embraced. It was their thing, but then there's also giving someone a nickname in a bully.
So when we walked home from school, Meatball and I would walk in the same group of people, and everybody in that group would torture Meatball.
Aww.
I wouldn't be one of them. Like I probably referred to him as Meatball because everybody was referring to him as Meatball. That's part of the regret statement. And everybody would fuck with him and try to make him feel, and he just took it. Like he just took it. Even to this day, he's probably taking it because he does still look like the same Meatball that all of us.
He's just waiting to snap.
Oh, I'm telling you. Like, that's one that I cannot believe didn't snap with how much torture he went through for 10 years on that same route walking home and to school.
God, now you have me thinking, I don't think I was ever mean to anyone, but oh my gosh, what if I was? I don't think.
But there was a couple of times where, like, I went over his house and we hung out a couple times after, people were harder on him. Even though I was a little bit of a participant in the name calling and whatever, I wasn't aggressive to the same level, and I felt bad, so I'd hang out with him. We would make prank phone calls. So, I'm not on his kill list. I know it.
That's good,
because,
yeah.
Like, if there were people mean to him and there were 100 people, I was like 99. Right?
Yeah.
Still called him Meatball, still gave him some ribbings here and there, but I was not, I didn't stand up for everything I hated about that my peers didn't stand up for me. I didn't stand up for him. So I was a big.
Yeah. Sometimes there's that situation where you see like this injustice and you want to say something, but then you're like, but then it'll turn on me. And I'm in the neutral zone and I want to stay there.
Well, I'll tell you, as a person that got picked on by those 4 people, it was kind of a reprieve that it wasn't you that was being targeted. So to watch the energy be taken out on somebody, they were the decoy and you got to have some peace.
Yeah.
And so that's what I kind of attributed to. But still, I get my time machine and go back there. I'm a whole different dude. Like, knowing what I know now, like, whole different dude.
Oh, man. Do you think this person is in any way different, or they're still an asshole? Like the backpack
people?
guy. Or, yeah, any of them.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You don't change from that. You're just either a decent human being that acts badly, or you're a complete narcissist oblivious to the fact that you're an asshole.
Yep. That's what this guy that I, when I realized this wasn't just a teenage boy being a jerk, this is just a legit asshole, was, I thought I had some closure there when we talked about what had happened in high school. And I was like, all right, we're kids. Who cares? I was just curious where your head was. And it was a guy that I had dated, and he cheated on me, and we discussed it. And I was like, I moved on. We were kids. Don't care. Well, fast forward to maybe probably less than 10 years ago. Somehow I saw him out or we were chatting or something. And out of nowhere, again, we're like, high school was umpteen years ago, and we're just chit-chatting and all this. Offers up, without me asking, the information that, by the way, I messed around with your best friend. And I was like, okay. Not when we were together, years later. And I said, why would I care about that? Because I dated you in high school, and years later, you hooked up with my best friend. Why would I care? Oh, that's right. You're still an asshole. You're just trying to hurt me for what? Because you get some sick satisfaction out of it? I was like, you know what? You have a good life. And I saw recently he got married, and I was like, good luck. Good luck to her.
So here's another trauma story. This one isn't quite as bad, and it's more on me than it is them. They were a little bit cruel, but they wasn't, whatever. So this was 4th grade, okay? And there was this group. There was this group of kids that they did travel. They had a lot of money, and at the time, this would have been late 80s. It would have been mid late 80s, and there was a shirt that everybody was producing in those tourist traps. So when they traveled, they would buy this. It was Bahamas or Florida or some fair weather thing with coconuts and trees and whatever. But everybody was getting them. And I was like, man, I really wish I traveled so that I could have one of these.
Aww.
And so I sat in front of this group, and there was like 4 of them, and they all wore their little shirts that had this. And they were like, hey, Daniel, don't you wish you could join the Coconut Club? And I was like, I want to join the Coconut Club. Like, I want to be part of the club, but I don't have.
Yes, I do.
I do want to join. And I wanted nothing but, like, they didn't torture me, but they put that little thing out there.
You're not
that
like us.
I was not. This is like a sitcom
can't
plot,
sit with
by the
us.
way. And so, like, I want to go on the Coconut Club. And so we took an RV trip, and it had to have been, like, maybe 6 months, a year later. It was a different grade, so maybe it was 5th grade by this point. And I still had in mind this stupid Coconut Club, and it was just haunting me.
Gosh.
And I went in a store, and I saw this shirt when I was on this trip. I had $9 to spend on anything I wanted on this trip, right? And I went for the freaking Coconut Club shirt, right? And I was wore this so embarrassing, because it was a year later where this was
and
like,
now it's not cool
not
anymore.
even a thing. Nobody even has them. But I was like, achievement, even if it's a freaking year. And I went up to this dude, and I was like, got my Coconut Club shirt on, and like, what the fuck are you
They're like,
talking
that's
about?
great. That's
what the
a
fuck
year
are you
ago.
talking about? So, like, wind out of my sails, but I was like,
Aww.
man, that was a moment that I just seared in my brain as the Coconut Club.
That's so sad.
I got there, though. Fuck them.
You're like,
I got to the
got
Coconut
it.
Club.
I wonder if there's anything I really wanted, and I'm like, I finally got it. I don't know, but I get it. I mean, I feel like when I was a kid or I was in high school, like, I feel like Abercrombie and Fitch and Hollister were like the in things. Even though it was like horribly made and really expensive, I feel I could see like sort of aspiring to get like, if I could get like an Abercrombie and Fitch anything, then I'll be cool, and I'll just look for like the cheapest shirt. I don't care what it is, as long as it's inexpensive and cheap and it says Abercrombie and Fitch on it. We're so dumb as kids. We're so dumb.
Yeah.
Do we do that as adults? I wonder. Is there anything like in your adulthood that everybody was doing and you're like, well, I want to do that because everybody
I'm
else
sure it
is
happened.
doing
Those pressures happen even to this day, and they're probably even magnified. So what we were dealing with probably has an exponent on there somewhere. So they're dealing with, the kids are dealing with a lot of shit.
Do you give in now as a parent? Has your son ever said, everybody has this, these are cool, and everyone's wearing it,
No,
and I want some?
he has a style, and it is contrary to what everybody else is doing. But since we've given in to his expression of what he likes, he doesn't have to really consider what other people would say or feel, because it's very respectable the way that he carries himself, and we've kind of fed into that. I'd love for him to just go off on his own island and find happiness wherever, where he's not trying to catch up. Where I was trying to catch up with everybody, because like when everybody was wearing name brand things, like I had a hand-me-down Who Shot JR t-shirt that nobody even knew the reference on by that point, or Dallas, or, whatever. So I had to always explain how the shit that I had came off my cousin who lived in Pennsylvania in a completely different state. And like, why are you wearing that? Like,
See, you probably were ahead of the time. I can remember for a short period of time, maybe middle school, high school age, for a little while, it was cool to go thrift store shopping.
That would have been made my life so fucking easy.
You were like punk rock. If you like went to a thrift store and got some vintage t-shirt for $1, but you were cool, like that was the cool thing to do. I remember my brother doing it, and you would have been like, yes, it's my time.
Yeah. And so I had a grandma, and she was so good to me. And this was the era where jeans started like getting slits in it and ripping your jeans on purpose.
Oh, like distress.
And my grandma, whenever she would see a hole in my jeans, she would patch and sew that shit up.
Oh,
and so
grandma.
I would show up, everybody with their torn jeans, and I'd have a big patch of a different color. Right? It wasn't even meant to look jean-like anymore. It would be like Pippi Longstocking in a big plaid
like
patch.
An obvious patch.
And I'd be like
a hobo.
I worked so hard at getting that ripped just like everybody else, and now I'm Patches McGee when I walk into the school.
Were you allowed to wear ripped jeans to school?
Yeah.
We weren't allowed. We were not allowed to have, and then after a while, it was you could have distressed jeans if you had leggings underneath. Like, you just couldn't show the skin. Now, apparently, you could do anything.
Yeah, this was the skater era. So, like, the big, wide pants, and, like, everybody looked like dog shit when they came in. So, it wouldn't...
Oh, the big, like, Jenko pants. And then the salt, like, in the winter, salt and stuff would be all over the
were
bottoms.
Big. Legend. What was it? Legend? Or what was the sweatshirt brand?
Wasn't there Vol. There was some that begin with a V. There's a number of things. That wasn't really my style. I had friends that were sort of the punk rock skater style, but yeah, I was not into the big, like, baggy skater kind of look. To me, you look like a stoner, I think. At one point, you cross over into stoner. Although I would say we went to Warped Tour one time to see, like, Good Charlotte, Simple Plan, and that whole... You ever get into that whole thing?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
I would bust out my friends, like, punk rock T-shirts and things of that nature.
Here's my third trauma event. And when I'm naming these, like, I'm picturing the people that were responsible for making me feel terrible. And I can picture that moment forever. So, again, not a lot of money. My patch jeans and my Who Killed JR t-shirt. And I worked balloon sales in the summer. And so going back to school, I had, the money that I made over the summer.
Balloon sales?
I would sell Mylar balloons at fairs and festivals to make money. Do paper routes and mow grass. Like anything you can think of. Sell baseball cards, fix bikes. Like, industrious I was.
An entrepreneur even then.
And so it wasn't a lot of money, but it was enough to start off the school with a couple of advantages. Like, I couldn't fill out a wardrobe. I maybe got like a couple of shirts and some sneakers that I would buy, right? Mm-hmm. And so the shoes were first, and they were just enough to keep me... Like, my mom would say that she'll finance the Pro Wings. Anything above Pro Wings, I had to put in the difference. So if Pro Wings were $5, if I wanted $20 shoes, I had to put in the rest. So first was just getting a level that was above Pro Wings, because I would just get killed if I showed up in Pro.
Aww.
And so the second thing was at the time there were the turtlenecks and cardigans were real big at that time.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
that was what?
What year was this?
Oh, I was.
You're not that much older than me.
I was 12, so it would be 88.
Okay. You were 12 and 88?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, so I was like,
picturing it.
I'm gonna get one outfit that is I can go to dances in, because I didn't have anything for dances like dances and special things. Like I have one, and again, very proud of my black and white cardigan and my white turtleneck and my little fake chain that I picked up at a festival when I was selling balloons. And like I was set. Like I had my one outfit to do it, and I would wear it too often, right? Like I would wear it too often, and I felt good about it, so I'd give two shits about if I wore it too often. But then the first mention, is that the only thing you own moment? And in my mind, I'm like, pretty much. I don't have a plan B. It's either this or the Who Shot JR t-shirt. But I remember that girl saying that with such condescension at the moment. It like tore me up because it wasn't necessary and it ripped out my soul. I probably that outfit I never wore again after that moment, even though I loved it.
Because kids are stupid.
Stupid and cruel.
And you know what? I feel like that bias even still lives in me because my daughter, both of my kids actually, they both do this. They have like a favorite hoodie that they wear every stinking day. Every day. They will change the shirt underneath. They'll have different pants, different tops, maybe different shoes. They'll have a totally different outfit on every single day, but then stick the same hoodie over top of it every time. They just love the hoodie. They use it as a jacket, basically, but they keep it on. And I've asked them, why would you wear the same shirt every single day? Nobody has asked you why you wear the same shirt every single day. And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, that's just our generation being shitheads, apparently.
Yeah. Well, it was the comparison of the families that had money and the families that didn't. And in my school, it was about 80% of the families were better, like middle class and upwards, and us 20%. Like we got dogged, and they made it obvious that you were lesser than, for sure.
Man, that reminds me of something my dad said to me one time when I was a kid, and that stuck with me. I can remember being on the playground, and somehow all the kids in school knew what my dad did for a living. He was an attorney, and he was a magistrate at the time. And I remember somebody calling me rich. You're rich because your dad's an attorney. And I didn't think we were rich. I didn't feel rich. I never felt like we had endless amounts of money. I certainly didn't get everything I asked for. And I was arguing with this kid. We're not rich. Nuh-uh. And they're like, your dad's an attorney. You're rich. So I went home from school all upset, and I said, this jerk on the playground, and he kept calling me rich, and I kept telling him, we're not rich. And my dad said, don't ever say that to someone, because maybe to them, you are. And I'm like, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.